Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your other host, Shorty, and today, although we are ostensibly discussing whether or not Deathstalker presents Deathstalker, should I say, is a good comic book. Well, you already know it probably is. It's sold out. It's going to second printing. We're mostly going to use this to talk about who's allowed to create comic books. I saw a fantastic post on Threads the other day, at Ka-Pow Comics UK, basically talking about the idea that some people who might espouse the idea and tell people that every comics are for everybody might also have some limitations on that. They might be like, well, not this person. They're too famous. Not these people. They might have ulterior motives. Maybe, gatekeep. And I don't like that kind of thing. I've got friends who think that way. And the most frustrating thing about it is the lack of consistency to it. Because I have an example in my head of something which I think was a terrible idea for somebody who originally wanted to make a movie and ended up doing it as a comic book, which is Chick Kicker and Bullseye. It's one of the worst comic books I've ever read. The guy tried to make it a movie and I got absolutely no help whatsoever. Nobody was interested in it. He tried to get a TV show. Nobody was interested in it whatsoever. He eventually kind of vanity published it as a comic book and it was terrible, and I can see why nobody wants to make it as a movie and TV series. People like Keanu Reeves don't need to worry about that. Patton Oswalt probably doesn't need to worry about that. Danny DeVito, Emilia Clarke, these people don't need to worry about this kind of thing, but some people still will stand up and be like, oh, they shouldn't be writing it. There's this kind of weird belief in their head that maybe this comic book only exists as an exceptionally elaborate storyboard for a TV show or movie that the creator can then write, direct, star in, etc., etc. And it's used as a way to gauge interest. The fact that an awful lot of comic book publishers and movie makers are looking for the next comic book movie TV crossover thing. There's big business at the moment, and I can see why some people might be a little bit jaded to the idea, but it's the lack of consistency which does bother me. The same people who criticise Keanu Reeves, because, I mean, literally one of the characters in the comic book Berserker is Keanu Reeves. They're absolutely fine with Patton Oswalt doing it, because apparently he's okay as a fan. Like, he really, really likes comic books, so it's okay for him to do a comic book, and he's not, cast himself in it, but he might want to write a TV series based on it at some point, maybe even direct it. It could be something he really wants to do. People had no problem with Danny DeVito doing a Penguin book, but had a problem with Emilia Clarke doing a really cool, progressive superhero comic book. And I've never quite understood why some things are okay and some aren't. One of the most egregious ones is somebody criticising one of the guys who runs the company. I forgot the name of the company, do apologise. TKO, because he's also involved in film and TV stuff. And somebody literally said to me, oh yeah, I really think it's really sad that the people who are involved in TV are making comic books because they can't make the movies they want. But this guy literally makes movies and TV shows. He's quite a famous producer, and I couldn't get my head around it. So I kind of do my best to go into reviewing comic books by these people who might be gatekeeped out of it and feel like, okay, let's look at his own merits. And I will say at this point, I'm willing to bet his 100% into this kind of story. I don't think I need to hear him tell me this in person. It's something about him, which makes me think a comic book called Deathstalker about a warrior with a massive, amazing sword who goes off on adventures and sleeps all the women is probably a really good thing that he's going to be into. Sad to say, unfortunately, this didn't land 100% for me personally. I think part of that is down to the fact that the company who makes this, which is Vault Comics, also does Barbaric, which is brilliant, and it's one of my favourite comic books, and I've got every single one of them, and I keep selling the trades to people because they're amazing. It keeps selling out because they're fantastic. And then they've got this, which on almost every measure I would say I judge a good fantasy epic, including, if it's using humour, how well it does it, how much the story and the motivations tie into the world, how much the world building ties back into this kind of thing, the dialogue, all of these kind of things. Barbaric just unfortunately does do better. And I think the most egregious kind of thing is just the main character, because the Deathstalker in this one, and apparently this isn't his first appearance in media, but I don't know enough about him. There doesn't seem to be much about who he is and why he does what he does. I can basically sum up to be he's a warrior for hire, and he's got a really good sword, and he really likes his sword. That's pretty much all I can tell you about why he's doing what he's doing and his motivation behind anything. And to be honest, most of the drama of the story seems to come from things which don't really make internally consistent sense. I mean, I don't get too much into the nitty-gritty of the story, but there's a point where him being amazing in bed apparently is part of it, but he even himself says the fact that he's lasted 3 minutes, not 2 minutes, is great. And I just don't think that works, and it's also not a great joke. In fact, all the jokes in it don't really land too well for me. Some of them are a little bit weird, and I feel like there's pauses where they're waiting for people to laugh weirdly, and it's not going to come from me, I'm afraid. On that, there's some stuff I like. I like the world building. I like the actual character interaction between quite a few of the people involved, and it looks good. It's classic fantasy comic book. It's not quite up there with some of the other stuff I have read, but it looks great and it does the job. I just wish it did it slightly better. Anyway, that's it for me. There's still more stuff out this week to review, so make sure you do the social things so you don't miss anything. Until I see you again, though, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye!